There are a lot of people who are worshiping their ancestors. They're literally into it. There's a lot of people of color who have said, well, you know what? Jesus is a white man. He's a white man's religion. Christianity is a white man's religion. Or there's some that will say, well, Jesus was just a prophet and he died. But guys, if he's just a man, why can't anybody find the body of Jesus? Why are they able to find everything else related to him but not his body? Okay. The second thing, there are people of all nations and all sorts of different backgrounds that have who have truly experienced Jesus, the Son of God. Jesus does not negate God. God does not negate Jesus. God and Jesus does not negate the Holy Spirit. The Bible tells you that the three are one. And so we are, there's so many things in how the Lord has changed the lives of many people, from the poor to the rich to the scientist to the atheist. Um, but yet there are many who are like, well, this was a white man's thing, and the slave master used Christianity to keep slaves in bondage. Well, I'm here to tell you that there are plenty of white men today still using Christianity to keep educated, free black people in bondage. There's black men, black people who are using Christianity to keep free and emancipated people of different races in bondage. Okay, so Christianity has nothing to do with God. All right, how do I say that? Okay, we know that's the title, but these people say it's the white man's religion, but God is not a Christian. God is God. His power and who he converts in his life has nothing to do with the white man, the brown man, or anything of that nature. He is God. So I always say to people, if someone takes your social security number right now, your identification, whatever the equivalent is for you, and they run up your credit and they do a bunch of things in your name, yeah, they're going to call you and it's going to be on your credit. It's going to reflect on you, but you did not make those purchases. And so you have to go through this all the trouble that it takes to clear your name. But people can do things in your name, but it has nothing to do with you. Someone can go and take your name and have a discussion about you and say certain things about you that's not true. So just drop that whole slave master stuff and the Christian stuff. Christianity is a white man's religion, but there's a lot of people who turn from that. And so they go into, I'm going to worship my ancestors. All right. But strange enough, our ancestors were not powerful enough to save themselves from dying. A matter of fact, we can go to our ancestors' graves, those of us who have those deep connections and deep roots. You can go to their grave and it's going to be right there. You will not see that grave opened up, anything of that nature. They are down in there. Their bones are there. There are people who have died years ago, and you can exhume their bodies. The great pharaohs, it was said that they're going to go to the next world, and these are the things that they're going to take with them. And ironically enough, all those things that they're supposed to take into the next world is sitting in somebody's museum. I personally think it's disrespectful to exhume any grave. I think it's disrespectful to have exhumed the bodies of late pharaohs. I think it's rude, and sometimes people's wondering why all kinds of craziness is going on in their lives. Stop digging up dead bodies. It's for your own sake. I mean, I don't want to rant on that. I just get so annoyed with certain people that have no respect for boundaries. This is what we want to study, so we're just gonna take you out of the ocean and we're gonna dig up your body because we want to know. Okay, so this is the boundary, guys, that we don't need to be pushing it. Let me get off that little soapbox right there. So yes, you may say, well, actually, once they die, they become powerful, but you still know where to find their bodies. So I would say this: be very careful with that. You can choose to believe what you want to believe, but a lot of people, they turn away from the teachings of the Lord and stuff, because let's face it, sometimes that can be tough in itself. People don't want to hear about forgiving and walking a straight and narrow road. They don't want to do all that. They want to see some signs and wonders. They want to light some candles. They want to see some movements going on. They want to feel a cool breeze on their shoulder. They want to go talk to the medium and hear something about, oh, yes, I was there at your house. I saw you eat a salad at 8 p.m. We get excited about that, right? Like, oh, for real, I did eat a salad. Oh, my God. We want evidence. Excuse me, guys. I'm sipping on some tea right now. Some guinea hen root tea that tastes nasty, but it's good for me. So, people, you can believe what you want to believe. You can say, well, no one's seen Jesus either, but there has been accounts of Jesus. I know that me being somebody that was like, whatever, I'm done with church, I'm done with all this, crazy stuff over here, living my life, do what I want to do, never been addicted to drugs or anything like that. I've experienced the presence of God. I've experienced Jesus. I have had a vision where my house was opened up like paper and he was standing there in the air, but low enough for me to see the sandal on his feet, low enough for me to see the robe. His robe was not gleaming white. It just looked like a beige color. I saw the cord around his waist, and his robe went all the way down, and his sandal on his feet, I never forget. And he was looking at me so seriously. And when he looked at me, he turned around, and I followed his gaze, and I saw a full moon behind him, a huge full moon. And there were all these, what I thought initially were birds. I'm like, what are those birds doing up there by the moon? But I realized as they began to get a bit closer, still a distance away, but enough for me to realize those were the angels of God, and their wings were flapping against the backdrop of a full moon coming to the earth. And the Lord turned around and looked at me with a seriousness in his face that I'll never forget, and seriousness in his eyes. He never said a word, but his eyes said everything, and I woke up. I'll tell y'all more about that. I've experienced the Lord, his tangible presence, and changed my life, guys. And there are many testimonies, seriously, that's similar or just even more remarkable of people who truly experience the presence of God. And when that happens, guys, your life will change. You'll never be the same. You can never go back. You can never go back. There's a lot of people who have been saved and Christians for a long time, and they're doing all the hooking and the bucking and the ooking and the ooking and the lulululu and all this craziness, right? But they're religious. They don't know God. So they will, and that's why they can be wicked. They can be wicked and saved at the same time. I don't get it. Okay? And so they'll go back and they'll backslide. Instead of just backsliding individually, they want to take some package deals with them and start telling people, God's not real and blah, blah, blah. Dude, be honest with yourself. You got tired of waiting. You were angry with the Lord about something. You felt he did not answer your prayer in enough time. Perhaps you're hurt because someone passed that you were praying for. And I will not negate that. That is a painful experience. Or it's too hard to keep yourself from having sex and following your habits and your impulses, and you just want to do you. Just admit that. Cut it out with the he's not real. You was professing he was real, and now you're saying he's not real. Who are we going to believe? Which side of you are we going to believe today? Go and figure yourself out, So the worship of ancestors, guys, you have to understand that when we die, the word of God tells us that it is appointed unto man once to die, and then comes the judgment. The rich man, when he died and he was in hell, he could not come back. Now, there are people that say they died and they went to hell, but they did come back. These people who have been documented, it's been proven, they woke up in the morgue, they were in the funeral home, the sheets were over them. I want you to know that you probably went to a certain part of hell, but you were not in that permanent place that you're not coming back, because you would not be back. But these individuals are able to go, and the Lord is yet extending his mercy towards us to say, okay, you're going to pass. You're going to go to you're going to go into the other world. You're going to go into eternity. You're going to experience some things, but I'm going to give you a chance to come back. These individuals were not in the same place that the rich man was. He is in a permanent place where his time is done. You're not going to get to come back to say anything. You're finished. All right. So when we die, we're either going to be in a place of rest, okay, and peace, or you go to another place. Your ancestors do not come back. Again, if someone exhumed their grave, they're going to be right there. Well, what do you mean? Guys, demons are real and they can manifest and come as looking like your ancestors in your dream. Notice you're not going to see them literally just walking in the front door and eating. You know, when Jesus was resurrected, his disciples, he ate with them. He allowed them to touch him. He appeared to them several times and they were able to handle him. Most people cannot say that they've done that. People say, well, how do you know the disciples really saw him? Why would they allow themselves to be cut asunder and tortured and beaten and flogged if Jesus died and never appeared again? And then let's talk about people of today. You may say the disciples were lying. What about people today, including myself, who have nothing to gain? I mean, we was doing it up in the world. Life was easier to some degree being unsaved. What do we have to gain? What do scientists have to gain? What does the atheist have to gain by coming back from the dead or changing their whole verbiage to say, I'm serving the living God? What does this gentleman who I read about who's from India or the Middle East, and his family, his father tied him up and chained him in the basement. His brothers were peeing in his face when he was thirsty, peed in his mouth, mistreated him, and was ready to kill him. When he called out to Jesus, and suddenly the knife that his father was trying to use on him cut his own father, and he was free and able to get out of there. What's the point of us telling these fantastic stories? It's not like we're going to get some sort of income for that. We're not going to get crazy checks for that. You can choose to worship who you want to worship, but that is not your grandmother. That is not your grandfather. That is not your ancestors. They are what is described in Ephesians chapter 6, principalities and powers and the rulers of the darkness of this world and spiritual wickedness in high places. They are the fallen angels. They are set in place by Satan to deceive many. That's why you go to the grave and you like to talk to the grave. Your parents cannot hear you, but the dead fallen angels are all up in the graveyard. They're all up in hospitals because people are passing. The spirit of death is all in hospitals and places like that, and in the graveyard. Because what happens once the flesh perishes, those unclean spirits that was in that person or whatever, it's all floating around, or maybe not even that person, but those things are waiting. And then you go there and you're crying and you're talking, and then all of a sudden you smell something that smells like your grandma. You see a vision, it looks like you just saw her far away. Guys, that is demonic manifestations. And so you may say, well, no, I worship my ancestors and this has happened and these changes has happened in my life. Guys, fallen angels can do a lot of things, and it's going to seem as if they are working for you. But eventually you are going to see how things turn, because first you have to give them access. And they're going to do some signs and wonders, and things are going to work. I told you the devil must have some success stories and testimonials. And so he's going to talk about some things, and you're going to see some things, and you're going to be able to say, I manifested and this happened and that happened. Of course it's going to happen. Angels of God, now fallen, can do wonderful things because they're angels. They can do way more than we can. They sure can. But eventually, you're going to see the true nature of these individuals. You keep fooling around with the dead, because that's what you're doing. You're not praying to the dead. You're not praying to your ancestors. You're praying to the dead. You're not inquiring of your ancestors. You are praying to the dead. And so the Bible tells us, why would the living consult the dead? I believe, let me see, guys, that is, let's see, let me try to find it. I'm going to give you Isaiah chapter 8, and I'm going to start at 19, and it says, "And when they say unto you, seek them that have familiar spirits, and unto wizards that peep and that mutter, should not a people seek unto God? For the living to the dead." So it's like, why would we be seeking out like a psychic, a medium, someone that has to call up your grandmother, call up your ancestors, or you yourself may be that medium, and you are putting things out, and you're ringing your bell, and you're putting out your sacrifices, whatever you're doing, your offerings, and you're calling unto who? You say you're calling your grandma, but who do you know? Who is it? What is it that really manifests and comes to you? And God is saying, why would you not seek unto God? How can the living seek the dead for help? The dead can't even come over here and move this coffee cup, or move this, it's not a coffee cup, but move this mug, but I can. Not only can I move it, I can bring it to my lips and sip it. They cannot. But an unclean spirit can manifest in a certain way. You know, it's not very common for you to see something move in your house by itself, because they are limited by the power of God. We have more authority and dominion than we think. They can't just carrying on with all types of shenanigans and scaring us and manifested and boo like we think, because we're made in the image and the likeness of God. That's why demons hate us. That's why Satan hates us, and he uses us to destroy each other, because demons are not created in body, soul, and spirit. They were not born of someone and raised of someone. They were not infused in someone's body. We were. Jesus was. He came. He's just living. He's the Son of God, infused in flesh in his mother's womb. We were too. And the Lord breathed his breath of life in us. We are spirit too. So we're spirit, soul, and body. And angels are just angels. They are, I think they say terrestrial. They're different types of bodies and beings that the Bible talks about, okay? Terrestrial, and they also speak of extraterrestrial in the Bible. So they are different. And sometimes I think Satan is a little jealous and irritated. Okay, probably see us as weak and whiny, and oh, they got to use a bathroom, and you paying attention to these people? Why would you give them all this dominion? But see, if they could, they would do a lot of things to us, guys. They'll be moving the furniture. But what happens when people who are seeing things moving in their homes and whatever, a lot of times inside of that place, there's been a lot of witchcraft, a lot of burning of this and that's been done. And so it opens up a demonic portal, if you want to call it. And so depending to what degree this thing has been done and what you open up and what you invite, then you begin to see manifestations. That sometimes you begin to literally see in front of your eyes this thing moving around or whatever. Literally, you're awake real time, and it happens because you're messing with things. When you start going to see the psychic and the mediums, and you got your little amulets and your seals, and you made your declaration, and you put your water out, and you did this, and you rang your bell, oh yeah, they can come and do some things now. That's the only way they can manifest, because we give them permission. But normally, you're not going to see your late parent or whoever manifesting your ancestors. No, because they are not able to. So when the living is seeking out the dead, but then you're going, I'm not going to serve this kind of God. I'm going to search out my dead parent, my dead ancestors. Just know that once you're calling on the dead, you're calling on the powers of darkness to manifest and come across as the caring ancestor. That's going to lead you in some things. It's going to seem legitimate, but the end of it is going to be destruction. And you're going to find yourself having no power to send them back. Let's go real quick to Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus. All right, so let's go really fast to Leviticus 19 and 31. In Leviticus 19 and 31 tells us, regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. That's all those people are. That's saying that, oh, I know your dad and your mom and your great grandmother. Guys, it is nothing more than a deception. And the Bible tells us in 2 Corinthians 11 and 14 that Satan comes as an angel of light. These demons are going to come as being manageable. These fallen angels, these powerful beings are going to come as if they're being your guides and they're helping you. They're going to be great signs and wonders. You're going to be praying for things and it's going to happen. You're going to be believing that this is your great-great-grandmother that came to talk to you and to help you, and you're going to learn the hard way. And you know who you're going to call out on when they begin to manifest, when they begin to show up in your dreams, when they begin to show you horrors and things in your mind? You're going to call on Jesus. So guys, it's totally up to you whether you want to believe this or not. You may not. You may still continue to do what you do. But understand this, it's never by chance that you get these type of messages. You clicked on this because the Lord is giving you an opportunity to know the truth. And you can deny it and you can write something nasty and mean and do what you do. It's not going to change that you heard it. As a matter of fact, your response to it is your signature. It is you basically signing off and saying, I've heard it. I still choose my way. And remember, God always gives us the power of choice. All right, guys.